Hey everybody, welcome to WCAX. Our Ike Ben David joins us here. It's the 1-year anniversary of the July 2023 floods. But before we kind of get into those, we want to talk about the ones from June, end of June 23rd. I know you were out in Stowe yesterday. Federal officials doing a flood assessment. Just kind of tell me about where you were and what some of the work they were doing there.
Well, John, thanks to having me here today. Long-time watcher, first time on here at WCX Extra. So, yesterday in Stowe, we had state, local, and federal officials, boots on the ground, touring Stowe. And one of the things you see, the great thing about visuals, right here on Channel 3, is we're able to bring the visuals of sometimes these unfortunate events, or even good events too, obviously. But when these storms happen, you really get to see the damage. And I was able to see that when we had our teams down there at the end of June. But when I was there yesterday to really see what this damage did on these dirt roads, on these rural dirt roads, some of them at times impassable. They were working yesterday to make sure that they were at least one-lane roads or were functioning again. Those are some things I saw. Some were just culverts, some washouts, but there were some pretty big washouts, and that's why FEMA was there. Stowe and the state said we need this federal funding. It is that damage was that bad, and that's how we got there to yesterday. Yeah,
and I know the state estimates 1.5 million, and then they need FEMA to come in to basically say, hey, let's go verify that. Let's get that to you if that's the case.
Yeah, yesterday was a prove it day to FEMA. Now, of course, I did ask them, are you working together? And of course, they talked about the great relationship they have with the state of Vermont. But the point, they literally had measuring tapes out. They were measuring things. They were taking pictures. They had clipboards. This was really about, and you'll see, we're going to show the story in a second if you missed it, that they really were out there taking a look, really calculating this, because if they get that money, if that gets funded, it's 75% of what the state's asking. And sometimes when it gets that approval, you have other towns and parts of the state that come out of the woodwork a little bit as well, which is good.
And that leads to my next point too. I know they were in Stowe yesterday. They go anywhere else too? Other towns? I know it was for Lamoille and Caledonia.
Lamoille and Caledonia. I'm not sure their exact schedule today, but I know they were expected if they didn't finish Stowe. Now I was with them for most of the morning. They were still going. And we stopped at several spots along Stowe yesterday. So if they didn't finish that yesterday, they'll be back there today. And they said there'll be other parts of the state. But obviously, of course, we've been watching our Max Advantage weather forecast, and it'll be interesting to see what happens here today.
Bracing for a little bit here. And my last kind of point here, I know it's the 1 year of the July floods today. And we're headed out. You have a kind of a busy day ahead of you as far as what you're going to do for that. What's your day look like as far as getting out?
First, I want to reflect. Last year on this day, I was in Johnson, and Johnson, as we know, I've been there for other floods. But last year was one of those days where you just really don't forget. What it was like. There were boats on Route 15. There were people, just helping each other. It was that real, that Vermont strong. Just a license plate. People were coming together. They were working together, and to see that, to witness that. So today, back to your question, I'll be back in Johnson today. What have they done? What's still open, or what's reopened? What's still closed? And taking a look at the resiliency and what might be changing to prevent further things like that we saw last year.
Absolutely, Ike. Thanks for being here. We'll play your story in just a sec. I'll get it queued up as we get going and start your day here. So without further ado, let's get that going.
It happened really fast.
This is video that Darren Orr's 13-year-old son took about 2 weeks ago when a fast-moving storm washed their dirt road away in Stowe, separating the teenager from the family.
Yeah, saw him on the other side, standing right about here.
What went through your mind?
Well, I got to get to him. But I had to get over this roaring river first.
Eventually, the family reunited safely, but the damage from that day can still be seen.
This pocket got clobbered.
Federal, state, and local officials now checking out the damage from that storm in Stowe, making several stops at washed out roads and culverts.
This is a joint preliminary damage assessment to quantify the costs for infrastructure damage from that June 23rd storm.
The state already estimates infrastructure repair costs to be more than $1.5 million, but they need to prove that to FEMA. They're looking for a disaster declaration for Caledonia and Lamoille counties.
So they're trying to show us absolutely everything that happened and what's going on so that we can see if we can validate it.
If approved, that declaration would provide 75% reimbursement to communities for local storm cleanup and repairs.
We're confident that the damages in Stowe alone exceed the state threshold.
And every federal dollar to fix infrastructure like these roads helps.
For these smaller storms, it's necessary to go out and really drive up the roads and take out the tape measures and the wheels and measure.
Which is something that Orr and other residents appreciate.
It was wild, but what was even more exciting is watching it get fixed so quickly.
But he says it's about being Vermont strong.
It's living in Vermont, you know? You gotta deal with Mother Nature sometimes.
FEMA and state officials plan to make a few more stops in the state before they send a final number to the governor to request those federal funds. In Stowe, Ike Ben David, Channel 3 News.
Again, that was our Ike Ben David kind of recapping a federal and state officials visiting Stowe for some flood assessment yesterday. That flood being from this June,
yes,
not to be confused with some flooding of last year,
yep,
and some inclement weather we're having today. Just really quickly, too, is some potential flood safety tips. This is from the Vermont Public Safety Commissioner, just to be prepared for whatever happens today. Those being charge your electronic devices, have an evacuation plan, check in your neighbors, and call Vermont 211 if things don't seem so safe. And
yeah,
Peter, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves just yet, but
yep,
that is kind of the name of the game today. Just be very, very weather aware.
Yeah.
And kind of be ready for whatever gets thrown at us.
All good tips we had there. The one thing I want to say is the good news is it's not the widespread river flooding that we saw last year. Today, what the main culprit is going to be is some of those localized flash flooding popping up just because we are seeing so much rain in a short amount of time out there. And that's really going to begin here as we head towards this afternoon, this evening, and really lasting through the course of the overnight hours tonight before it begins to wrap up here as we head towards the day tomorrow. But for now, want to take you outside. Here is a look at the watches and warnings we have up right now. A flood watch, up for the entirety of our region with the exception, though, of Bennington and Windham counties. That's where the flood risk is a little bit lower down there. They're not going to get quite as much rain across the southern two counties as we see elsewhere. Satellite radar showing the first of a few rain showers starting to make their arrival into far northern portions of New York. Right now, the rain pretty light. Elsewhere, though, we're generally talking about mostly cloudy skies overhead. Wanted to show you all this moisture just off to our west, out towards the Great Lakes as well as into Michigan. That is the remnants of what was Hurricane and Tropical Storm Beryl. That's going to begin to make its arrival here into our region as we head through the rest of the day today. So here's how it shapes up on Futurecast. Again, through the mid to late morning hours, we're starting to see some of those first signs of rain out there. It's not quite the tropical heavy downpours quite yet, but take a look at what happens here as we head towards later this afternoon. By about 3 o'clock, we're starting to see some of those deeper shades of red out towards St. Lawrence County. That's signs of just downright torrential downpours at times. Those really do not move all that far. They're kind of confined across the northern half of the region here as we head through the course of the afternoon and into the evening hours. You can see as we head towards about 6 o'clock, you're still seeing those deeper shades of red really across the northern half of the region. That continues into the first part of the overnight hours tonight before the rain diminishes in intensity just a bit here as we head towards the early morning hours tomorrow. The good news is it's actually lifting out of here by the time we head towards daybreak tomorrow, and we actually start to maybe see a little bit of brightening to the skies here as we head through the course of the afternoon and evening hours for your day on Thursday. Still a chance at a few leftover passing rain showers here and there through the course of your day as well, but definitely drier than what we're going to see here as we head through the second half of the day today and tonight. Now, in terms of those rain totals, generally a widespread 1, 2, 3 inches across the far northern portions of the area. You can see really those 2 to 3 inch totals in that deeper shade of red there. While you don't see it on this map, I do suspect there's going to be localized communities that do pick up 4, 5, maybe even upwards of 6 inches of new rain here as we head through the course of the day today and into the first half of the day tomorrow. That's why we're concerned about that flash flooding potential. That is a lot of rain. That's nearly a couple months worth of rain that we're going to see here in a few hours. So here's how we sum it up. Again, this is a Wednesday through Thursday event, but really the peak of it this afternoon through the course of the overnight hours tonight. Flash flooding likely as a result of all that rain that we're going to see in a short amount of time. The rivers will continue to rise here a bit through the course of the day tomorrow, but river flooding not the main concern here. That was the big concern that we saw last July. Not a huge concern with this system, but we'll keep an eye on it just because it does take the rivers a little bit of time to catch up here. As I mentioned, generally a widespread 2 to 3 inches of rain across the northern half of the region where some of those heavier showers, downpours, and thunderstorms set up. That's where we could see some places eclipse the 4 or 5 inch mark here as we begin to wrap up the system as we head towards the day tomorrow. So with that in mind, what does this flash flooding situation mean? We could see road washouts, especially on those dirt roads here as we head through tonight and into the morning hours tomorrow. Rising water could potentially enter home and businesses here, and some mainstream river flooding is possible, especially as we head towards tomorrow and Friday, just because it does take those rivers a little bit more time to catch up. But again, the river flooding, not the biggest worst case scenario that we're talking about with this system. Not only are we talking about the potential for flash flooding, there is also a severe weather potential. This mainly confined across the southern half of the region. You can see in that yellow highlighted color across the southern half of the region, that's a level 2 out of 5 risk here for severe weather. Now, the biggest threats of any severe weather they do see down there would be, again, the torrential downpours that we all get in on. They could also see some cells with maybe some gusty straight line winds. An isolated tornado here and there can't be ruled out, but again, that's really low on the risk profile today. The biggest risk that we're going to be talking about is that flash flooding case scenario as we head towards the latter portions of the day today. Temperatures out there right now, we're starting off in the 70s and 80s, so definitely a very muggy start to our Wednesday, and here's where we head as we head through the afternoon hours today. Most of us back into the 70s and 80s. Some places, the further south you go, where they get in on a little bit less rain down there. I think some places right along that Massachusetts state line could make a run towards that 90-degree mark again. As we head towards this afternoon, those showers and tropical downpours begin to develop, especially across the northern half of the region. Tonight, overnight lows, they'll fall back into the 60s and 70s. Rain and rain heavy at times here through the course of the night tonight. Heading into your day tomorrow, the good news is we are drying out, actually getting a tad brighter here as we head through the course of your day on Thursday. Temperatures back into the 80s here for most of us. Now, in terms of what comes after this, I wish I could tell you after all this rain, we are getting rid of the heat and humidity. That really not the case. You can see as we head towards this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, got more sunshine overhead, the stray chance at a few showers and thunderstorms, and take a look at where those daytime highs go, back into the mid and upper 80s and lower 90s. So more heat on the way, but for now, we're going to keep a close eye on all that rain that we have heading our way here for later today.
Yeah, we're heading right back into some of that heat and humidity there,
yep.
Peter. And we can't reiterate enough here as far as those safety tips, as far as being prepared for really whatever it comes throughout today and tomorrow. We had those tips from the Public Safety Commissioner. And, of course, you can see all of our coverage as far as the weather team goes and all of our reporters tonight. And, this being the one-year anniversary of the July floods last year, we have the Vermont Underwater 1 year later coverage tonight as well. So really be prepared for whatever kind of comes your way in the next day and a half or so. So it really is.
I will be here all morning, and then meteorologist Jess Langlois and Chief Meteorologist Gary Sadowski in here later this afternoon, this evening, getting you prepared for whatever heads our way.
Yeah, you can follow the weather team, get the weather app, get the news app as well on your mobile device, and kind of stay with all of that so you can be prepared for what's to come.
Great reminders.
But yeah, Peter, you can see Peter and I at noon, of course, our evening shows, our evening coverage, flood coverage as well, and on WCAX.com. With that in mind, I think we'll hop off, let you guys go, and stay safe for whatever comes your way. So, have a good one.